All right, welcome everyone. It's Sunday, so it's Speedrunner Spotlight time. Woo! The crowd goes
Woo!
wild. All right, we got Silent G here today. Hello.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's going well.
Good.
Sundays are always good because it means we get to talk speedrunning, which is a good topic
Hell
of
yeah.
conversation. So I'm always
Damn
happy.
straight. Sorry, can I swear?
That's fine by me, at least.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, I won't stop you.
Gotcha. You're
But
not
yeah,
gonna dive through my door or anything?
nah, I don't think I could do
Okay,
that.
okay.
Unless I unlock the teleportation skills, but
Damn, that'd be nuts.
that'd be great because then I wouldn't have to pay a bunch for flights to go to speedrun events.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like teleportation underrated superpower. People are always like, "Oh, I want to." The weirdos are like, "Oh, I want to be able to be invisible." A lot of people like super strength or fly. Teleportation's where it's at. You
Mhm.
don't have to pay for gas. You don't have to waste the time traveling.
Yeah, I think that's the goaded one for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, welcome. How's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. It's beautiful weather here, so I've been enjoying the outdoors today. It's going well. It's going real well.
Yeah, the weather's very nice today. It's
Hmm.
about time.
Right? My lord, the Midwest winter.
Oh, it gets different every year.
Yeah, this year was a really weird one.
Oh yeah, but it's nice to see the sun for once.
Right? It's like
But
almost 80 today. It's crazy.
yeah, it's a great day. So what better day than to sit inside and talk speedrunning, right?
Yeah, that's the way
Yeah,
to do it.
exactly. So yeah, let's start from the beginning with your
All
history
right.
here. So what got you started in the speedrunning journey?
Good question. I was first introduced to speedrunning early 2010s by a friend's older brother. It was I think AGDQ 2011. It wasn't the very first one. It was one of the first ones though. It was whichever one was right before the tsunami relief
Hmm.
one that they
I think
did.
that's the second one. I think that's the one after
Okay.
classic.
Okay. So yeah, then that was the first one that I watched. Just introduced to it by a friend's older brother. Like, yo, you guys got to check this out. This is crazy. So that was the first time I had ever really learned of speedrunning as a concept. Didn't really find it too. I thought it was cool, but I didn't dive any deeper into it. Then it was like 2013, 12 or 13 was like the summer of Siglemic. I was super into that. I'm a huge SM64 speedrun fan dating back to then. I pretty much watched Siglemic's everyday grind every day for that summer. I was obsessed. I tried doing speedrun tricks from it like once. Couldn't I couldn't get anything. It's too hard. So speedrunning was like just I was aware of it. I occasionally watched GDQ, and then I got really into Dota for a few years, so I kind of fell off from watching speedruns. And around late 2016, I started to swear Dota off and be like, I'm done with this. And I just so happened to be on winter break during AGDQ 2017, and I was the only one of all of my friends who were home that week because I had a later winter break than them. So I just stayed at home alone that whole winter week watching AGDQ the entire time, and I was hooked. And it was specifically the finale run was TGH's Undertale run, and
Yeah.
that just absolutely hooked me. I'm like, I have to try this after watching that run. So I spent like a couple weeks searching around my Steam library, looking up games in there and if they had guides on speedrun.com and how long the run was, and I settled on Fallout 4, and I guess the rest is history. Just started speedrunning Fallout.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people know this about me, but I actually really love Fallout games.
Really?
Specifically three New Vegas. Well,
Mm-hmm.
three
Oh,
I've spent so many hours in
so
specifically,
you
but
like three the best?
I don't know. It's the one I played the most. I'm bad at picking
Okay,
favorites, but I can definitely say I
gotcha.
played three the most.
Have you checked out the Fallout show that just came out?
I've heard good things,
Yeah.
but I don't really watch TV anymore, so
Okay, gotcha. I binged it over the past 2 days or so. I I liked it. It was good.
I heard it's fairly faithful. There's fan service and like the visuals are really nice. So,
Yeah, yeah. It's just really really solid all around. Big
well, that's
fan.
good. I'm glad video game adaptations are getting better
Right?
sometimes because oh my god, a couple decades ago, yikes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm glad people are starting to take it a little more seriously.
Yeah. As a Mario guy that you are, did you see
Hmm.
the Mario movie?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
How did you like that?
Yeah, it was good. Definitely children would love it, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Plenty of fan service in that one as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
I got no
Good time is
complaints
a good
about
way
it.
to describe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd watch it again. That was good. I'm excited if they continue their little thing they got going there. They hinted at something at the end, so yeah, if
Yeah,
they
I'm curious where
continue it,
they're
I'll
gonna
watch it.
take that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, Yoshi only showed up for like 5 seconds,
SMH.
so I'm hoping they
I
make
all
more.
I need my boy Waluigi.
Oh my god! Yeah, if Wario and Waluigi show up, I wonder if they get to voice them. That'd be incredibly
Oh,
interesting.
you know what? I was really excited for them, and then you brought up the whole idea of the fact people have to voice them, and now I'm really
Hmm.
scared.
Yeah.
You know, like
Overall, I mean, Jack Black as Bowser was
oh,
perfect.
terrific.
Um, Now some other choices maybe were a little sketchy, but there wasn't
No,
anything that was terrible except like maybe one. So
you okay, I'm gonna go on a little rant. The thing that
okay.
pissed me off most about that movie is it opens up with the scene of like the commercial that they made, and Chris Pratt is like doing the Mario voice during it. And I'm
Hmm.
like, wait, this sounds good. Like
It
I was
sounded
into
great.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the commercial ends and they're like, "Oh, wouldn't it be so silly if I talked like that?" I'm like, "No, you should have done it. It was so good like that."
Yeah.
Ah,
Was it too much? It's like, oh, that wasn't real.
I know. Big disappointment.
Yeah, when it opened like that, I was like, oh wow, that sounds like Mario, surprisingly,
Mhm.
against all odds. And then yeah, they
Yeah.
just don't use it.
I hope he gets like hit on his head at the start of this next movie and just starts talking like that all the time.
That'd be interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess Chris Pratt can't do a voice other than his own for too long.
Wow. Not a professional.
No, but yeah, movie was good otherwise. Yeah,
Yeah.
the nitpicks are minor, so I was happy
The
with it.
music with not the needle drops, but like when they brought in the video game music, oh, those
Mm.
moments were great.
Oh yeah, I need to like look up the soundtrack to that because yeah, they like did their own renditions of like all the good stuff.
Yeah. Let me see if that's on Spotify because if so, I know what I'm listening to when I work tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll have to do some research myself. I didn't think about that, but
Mhm.
I just listened to the video game OSTs. But yeah, there were good arrangements there, and it's hard to hear them uh behind all the madness, and then you forget about them because then they throw in some like 80s song for some reason.
Right?
It's like, all
Just out of
right,
nowhere, holding
sure.
out for a hero, no sleep till Brooklyn, just out of nowhere. It's like, oh, okay.
Surprise, yep. But I guess that's how movies work. I think I heard something that like they made this awesome rendition of a song and they didn't use it because they replaced it with one of those like 80s things. It's like, oh, thanks for that. I would have much preferred the incredible rendition of this classic theme, but no,
Yeah.
holding on for Hero, man.
Yeah, it gets the crowd going in every movie that comes out.
Yeah, every single one.
They all have that song.
Guess it's just mandatory. You got to shove it in somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh well. But yeah, hopefully if they continue the series, they get more renditions
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I think they will. I I mean, we're getting a third Sonic movie now. That's
Oh
crazy.
yeah, that's
So I
coming
feel
out
like,
this year too.
yeah. Do you think that they're gonna build up to a Smash Bros movie where like they do Mario and Sonic, and now they have the Zelda movie they're talking about? Do you think that they might have like eventually actually do like a Smash Bros movie?
That'd be cool, but um, as it stands right now, all of these movies are being developed by different people with entirely different styles, and
Yeah,
for it to combine, I don't think it could in its current state.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I forget when they said Mario 2's coming out, but yeah, Sonic 3's this year.
That's crazy.
And I did see Sonic 1 and 2 in theaters. I remember Sonic 1 specifically because it was like the month before COVID, I think.
Yeah, and it came out like on Valentine's Day. I remember
Yeah, that's
that.
right. Yeah, so it was literally
Are you
right before COVID.
are you gonna go see the third in theaters when it comes out?
I've seen 1 and 2. I might as well do it all.
Yeah, you're in too deep.
Yeah. When I heard video game movies are good again, it's like, all right, I guess sign me up.
Yeah,
I don't watch movies usually anyway, so might as well do these at least.
yeah. And you can always say it's a work expense, you know? You're doing the research for work to stay on top of the video game landscape.
Didn't think of that. I'll have to write that down. Hmm. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the future of all this video game media and all these different avenues become because
Me too.
it's going pretty well
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah, the past year and a half, 2 years, I guess probably with like Detective Pikachu in 2019, I feel like
Hmm.
that's when we started to turn a corner on this all.
Yeah, there haven't been much in between then and like early 2000s, maybe late 1990s, because they were just like, oh, these are all bad. Let's give up for 2 decades.
Yeah, they did like a few Tomb Raider, um, and there was like that Assassin's Creed one.
Oh, really?
And that man, not good.
Yeah, I've never heard anything good until a few years ago. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, hopefully things stay on the up and up there, because I'll actually consume that media because I
Yeah.
don't consume much media other than gaming and Twitch and YouTube. So they keep that up. They at least got me going for them. So
Hey, that's enough.
yeah, just
I'm
one
pretty.
person, that's enough for them.
Yeah, well, specifically GTA's. I'm pretty sure in the
Yes.
boardrooms they're like, guys, we gotta make sure we get him in our get his butt in the seat. That's all that matters.
Yeah, they need my $15 and my $15 only.
Hmm.
I see. Well, so far so good. So if they keep it up, they're they're keeping those W's, I guess.
Yeah,
But
that's why they're making the third Sonic movie because you went and saw the first two. If you don't go see the third, they're not gonna make a fourth.
all right. For the fans, I guess I'll have to go see it. So, and I really can't believe that almost just kicked the bucket immediately too with how bad the original design was. I can't believe they turned
Oh
that
my
around so
gosh.
hard.
Right? It's crazy how far they've come.
God, I'll just have nightmares of that original trailer. It's like, oh, this is gonna crash and burn, and then they turned it around. I'm like, oh, it's
Yeah, I'm
good.
I'm pulling up the pictures. Oh man, it's horrible. He
It's
looked so horrible. Why did they do this? Who thought that was a good idea?
and I love the whole theory that they did it on purpose to like draw in hype for the redesign, even though yeah, there's no way they
Yeah.
actually sat down, made that, and were like, yep, this is our movie. Despite
See,
what people don't want to believe, that's what happened, and that's sad to think about.
the thing I want to know is if they stuck with that design, what was Tails gonna look like?
I'd rather not think about this. Well, I know they probably wouldn't have made a second movie if they kept the original design,
Man, that would
despite
have
the
been such a
like
train wreck.
the ending, the end scene or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Uh, let's just be happy how it turned out.
Yes.
is
Yes.
the biggest turnaround in video game movie history. Not that
It
there's very
has to
many
be,
of
right?
those, but oh my god. They saved millions with that one.
Yeah.
Because now there's a trilogy. So good on them for listening to the people that actually care about the franchises.
Yeah. It's just I can't help but just be like, why?
I
Why
don't
did
know.
they? And I'm just sitting here looking at all these pictures of taxidermized foxes now. People saying this is what tails would have looked. I need to close this tab. I
Yeah,
need to close
let's.
that
This is a rabbit hole that can only lead to negative things.
Speedrunning. Speedrunning.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's what we were here to talk
That's
about.
why we're here. Duh.
Understandable. All right. Where were we? Yeah, you started Fallout. Oh,
Mhm.
that's how the train started with the Fallout show that recently came out. But yes, Fallout 4. That was the first
Yeah.
game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I started with Fallout 4 any percent. Slowly just started doing all the categories for it. And then after like 2 or 3 months, I started doing like Fallout New Vegas, then Fallout 3, and just figured I would do all of them at that point.
Hmm. Yeah, the anthology, you could say, which I'm
Yeah,
sure we'll
yeah,
get
that's one
into,
word
but
for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, those speedruns are interesting because they're one of those games that's like the FPS and have like the quick saving loading thing. Kind of like Portal, I
Mhm.
guess, is what I think of. So it's got some of that going for it, but I don't know, from what I've seen, it's unique in I don't know what's going on usually. It's
Honestly, the runners typically don't either.
yeah,
It's especially Fallout 4. It's a train wreck to say the
mm,
least as a speed run. It's just the game feels like it's constantly falling apart around you. And you're like you're going into zones you're not supposed to be allowed in, and it allows you to equip multiple pieces of armor so you can run extra fast, and at the same time you're teleporting across the map and you get the last quest super early. It's it's a, a beautiful disaster. I love it.
yeah, those are the good speedruns, beautiful disasters. So,
Exactly. It's a train wreck you can't look away from.
hmm I mean, yeah, you sure can.
Mm-mm.
It's just funny that it's like hard to understand what's going on, even with an explanation. It's just so absurd that it's like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, sure, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it's not quite to the parallel universes
Hmm.
of, Pancook's videos, but it's approaching that for sure.
Yeah, it's its own messy web, I guess.
Mhm.
That's really hard to comprehend properly. So, but like Mario 64, it's at least interesting,
Mhm.
despite its WTF, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and then the other games seem a little less complicated, at least, even though they've got their own very interesting things.
Yeah, I would say as you work your way back in the series, it gets less and less complicated. Fallout 4 is, like I said, just a train wreck. You have to the hard thing about running Fallout 4 to high level is it's not that it's the most technically demanding or skill based of the 3D Fallouts. I would personally say it's the least skill intensive one of them. But it's so complicated in that there's so many different ways to ruin your run or soft lock it, and there's just so many little details you have to know about that it's just because it's a longer run as well. It's over twice the length of both New Vegas and Fallout 3. I think like 3 times the length of New Vegas at this point.
Hmm.
So there's just so much more that can go wrong. While New Vegas and 3, they're less complicated. There's a lot more. It's definitely a lot more, like I said, skill based. It's Fallout New Vegas. I feel like is 3 and New Vegas both are big time. It's hard to pick one over the other, but yeah, They're really cool. They're really cool speedruns. Big
Hmm.
fan.
Yeah, I know New Vegas has got a lot of flying,
Hmm.
which
Yeah.
makes no sense when I say
Yeah,
that if you don't know what's
it's
going on.
yeah, it's so cool. There's a glitch called reload dashing where pretty much if you have a gun that the reload animation involves you reloading one bullet at a time, so like a revolver, you can break that animation to shoot forward a little bit. And if you break your legs at the same time as doing that, and you quick save and quick load, there's a little bit more to it. Then yeah, you pretty much can do that dash infinitely. We call it infinite dash, and then you can like launch up in the air, and you just quick save, quick load repeatedly, and you just keep going forward. You turn yourself into a plane.
Hmm. Just absurd that that
Hmm.
works out, I guess.
Yeah, and it was kind of found on accident. It was someone who it originally stemmed from being like an accidental thing, you know, as many speedrun stuff
Hmm.
discoveries are. Someone was just doing a run or something, and they got a little speed boost when they landed and broke their legs. We're like, oh, that was weird. We haven't seen that before. So then we tried to recreate it, and then within like 24 hours, we had fully developed the infinite dash.
Hmm. And that's got to be a massive time save if you can just fly around everything.
Yeah, I want to say when it was first discovered, the run was, you know, it immediately saved, I feel like somewhere around 90 seconds.
Hmm.
But now the speed run is like over, oh geez, I'm looking at the record now. It's even shorter than I thought it was. Before infinite dashing was found, the record was probably right around 12 minutes.
Wow.
And now the record's just over 8 minutes. So huge, huge cutting off of that time. Like
I
12 minutes to 8 minutes is crazy for a run that short.
I actually didn't think it'd be only 12 minutes without that trick.
Yeah,
That's
it's
crazy. Can
nuts.
you I guess the map isn't that big when you actually dissect it, but I don't know
It's
how fast
no,
you can like run in that game.
yeah, you can't run. I mean, running is pretty slow, so that's why we do the before that it was reload dashing. It was just the using the gun to shoot forward a little bit at a time.
Mm,
And
I see.
it's you don't need to discover too many locations in that run. Really, it's like you have your starting place and you pretty much make your way straight to New Vegas. And along the way, you discover a few locations so that you can then fast travel back to them. And it's really just you go to New Vegas, you talk to a couple people, then you fast travel around the map and reload dash a few times to meet some people and cross off some quests, and then you pretty much just go finish the game in New Vegas. It's pretty contained. It's nice.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really short. When
Hmm.
you think of a regular casual playthrough, it's going to take like dozens of hours if you want to sit down and do everything, but you can just beat it in less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, and the glitchless record is 22 minutes, which is
Glitch?
crazy.
Wow, what?
Yeah,
So you can
yeah,
just beat the game in 22 minutes without any
yeah.
bullshit. Okay.
Well, okay. When you say without any bullshit, that's when it gets a little complicated.
I see.
Um,
Okay.
because it depends, you know, it depends how you define bullshit. Um,
Yeah.
the Fallout speedrunning community has a fraught relationship when it comes to defining a glitch
Mm.
because I mean, first off, the games are so buggy. Um,
It's impossible
but
to have a glitchless run. No.
right, right. There's a what's that one website? The Hard Drive. It's like the Onion, but for video games.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah.
have one they had one article that went viral, I think right around when infinite dashing was found. Um that I occasionally see it pop back up and it's like New Vegas speedrunners like unable to come up with a concrete definition on a or having a hard time completing a glitchless run, stuff like that. Um but yeah, no, there's in the glitchless run, I think there's probably I'm sure there's things I'm unaware of, but there's probably two things that I would say are like kind of borderline. The first is just a general form of movement tech that we call stop hopping, and it's kind of like circle jumping in the Source Engine games. Pretty much,
Mm.
you flick your camera in like a circle while you're jumping and landing. There's a little bit more to it, but it lets you move pretty fast. So for a while, that wasn't allowed in glitchless runs, and then the community voted to allow it. Um, but then the second thing that's a bit, borderline is, the big thing for New Vegas runs is getting into New Vegas. And you can do it pretty early on by going to the monorail and riding the monorail in. But um, in the past few years, a method for pretty much you can access the monorail from outside of everything by it's kind of like going out of bounds to get onto in the regular any percent run. You launch yourself in the air and you fall down onto it from outside. And a way was found in the glitchless run where you take off your clothes and put your clothes down, and you're able to like more or less jump off of your clothes to like reach an invisible ledge and get up. Something along those lines. Like you use a vault suit. You like kind of item climb with a vault suit, but it's not like an item climb, so it's allowed. It's kind of just jumping off of it. So that's pretty borderline, I would say, but it is allowed.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense, I guess, if you're just taking off an item and then using it as a platform.
Yeah. But then you have like um you have the whole discussion of like in Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3, if you quick save and quick load, it disrupts your falling speed, right?
Hmm.
And for the longest time, glitchless speedruns of Fallout New Vegas, like you weren't allowed to save and load. They had to be fully single segment, no saves and loads at all. Um, and that was in part due to how the game just breaks when you save and load. To where like if you're falling and then you quick save, quick load, you completely reset your momentum and you don't take fall damage. And the speedrun rules had roots back in like Speed Demos archives and stuff, so they're pretty strict by today's standards. But like just because quick saving and quick loading in the game is so broken, it just wasn't allowed because you could just perform several glitches from just doing that, even though you're just saving and loading.
Hmm. Yeah, just again playing the game. You can't have a glitchless run.
It just falls apart around you.
But yeah, that reminds me of the glitch that you do in Fallout 3 where you what is it, cripple as you quick load while falling,
Yeah.
and then you just get this insane speed boost for the rest of the game.
Yeah. You break your legs pretty much. You break your legs and you save and load like, or you load as soon as you break them. And more or less it heals you twice. And the way the game does the math is you have like say you have 100 move speed. When you break your legs, it takes away like 70 of that. And when you heal your legs, it gives you 70 again. So by breaking your legs like at the perfect time and you loading, it adds that 70, like it adds the 70 after it loads. So you load back to having 100 speed and then it adds the 70. So you move it like a 170. But it's super inconsistent. I think that some ways to make it slightly more consistent might have been found, but for the longest time, as far as I'm aware, it's one of those things where it just doesn't work on some launches of the game,
Hmm,
where you could do everything right and it just won't work.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's got to be a whole complicated mess because it's like a PC thing, right?
Yeah, and a lot of the clips in Fallout 3 especially are kind of PC dependent,
Hmm.
to where like when I was doing the run practicing for GDQ, like at GDQ in 2020, and I was practicing on the practice computers. Like I had to figure out what setups worked for clipping because it is completely different than my home computer, different timing on the clips and whatnot. So It's fickle. It's fickle to
Yeah,
say
that
the
sounds
least.
like a pain in the ass.
It kind of is. Yeah, I love it, but it's a pain sometimes.
Yeah, I've always been a console person, so for
Mm.
speedrunning that works out because that's usually going to be like consistent for everyone.
Mhm.
So that's nice. I don't have to worry about PC bullshit.
Yeah, if you can stay away from PC bullshit, do it.
Noted. So yeah, but I assume most games like have a console leaderboard and a PC leaderboard just because they're usually going to be pretty different.
Yeah, the Fallout runs alone, there's a lot of tech that's exclusive to the PC
Hmm.
version. We used to have a whole separate console leaderboard, but I think at this point we've just kind of merged them all and said if you want to know what the console record is, just sort.
Yeah, you can
Uh,
filter.
exactly, just filter out the PC runs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
Because even if something's obsolete, it'll still keep track of something. Like if you play on a different platform, you can submit that and it won't show up on the boards, but in a filter, it would show up, kind of thing.
Right,
So you could
right.
do both if you wanted, even though it's the same leaderboard.
Hmm.
So it makes sense. Just, I guess it's a little harder to find for someone just visiting, but those in the know how to make the website show you what you want to see. So,
Exactly, exactly. There's a lot of functionality to it that a lot of people don't realize.
mhm. Yeah, and I mean, it does keep changing. So I can understand some confusion, but
Yeah,
yeah, if you know what you're doing, you can see the information you want to see. So
yeah.
yeah, I understand combining it. Although there's some games that have like separated things I don't think should have been separated. Won't get into that, but
Yeah, I hear
I don't
that.
know. Every leaderboard is different, but it can make it a little hard as well. But
Mhm.
anyway, but yes, I guess since you brought it up, well, was you did the anthology run AGQ 2020? Were there other runs you've done at GDQ?
No, that's the only one.
Okay.
So like I mentioned, I started speedrunning in 2017,
Hmm.
and I submitted pretty regularly to GDQ since then, like when I started then. And I got in with the anthology run in 2020, and up until last fall, those were like the main games I speed ran. I did Outer Worlds. Yeah, I always have to think, wait, did I do Outer Worlds or Wilds? Which one's which? I did Outer Worlds for just a little bit, like right when it released because it's super related, but pretty much just Fallout. So when I got in, the anthology run was the first run I had ever done at GDQ. So when I got that in, afterwards, I'm like, well, I kind of just did all the runs I know,
Hmm.
I kind of blew my load. So I haven't submitted anything since. I haven't had anything I haven't been necessarily doing many runs since 2020. I've been really focusing on YouTube. I haven't streamed much, but I just started streaming and speedrunning again last fall. So maybe in the near future, I'll be submitting stuff to GDQ again. We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Well, I guess to try to get back on the timeline, and we can get to the lead up to GDQ, but
Mhm.
so you were just primarily doing only Fallout games, but
Yeah.
all of them, not just the 3D ones.
Right. Right. It was mostly the 3D ones.
Hmm.
Fallout 1 is once you learn it, and the fact that it's the first run in the anthology run, it's pretty much like running anthology is just like running Fallout 1, because every run you have to do it. So I never
Hmm.
really grinded Fallout 1 outside of anthology. Um, Fallout 2 as well, like it's super early on, so you get a lot of reps in, but there's a bit more practice with that because in short, we have a route through the game, but you need a bunch of items to complete the run, but there's a lot of variance to the items. There's a lot of RNG in the Fallout 2 run. And you can pretty much make most of the RNG that you can get work for a run, but you have to kind of learn all of the backup strats and stuff. So it was mostly just kind of figuring that out and then just grinding out runs when I did Anthology. But it was like I did a lot of individual Fallout 3 and New Vegas and Fallout 4 runs, in addition to Anthology starting in like summer of 2017. I think that's when I started with Anthology.
Mm-hmm. And how big were like the 3D Fallout communities?
Um, that's a good question. They're they're a good sized. I would say it's a
Mm-hmm.
healthy size, but they're not terribly active.
I see.
Um, Fallout 4, I would say, is the least active of them. At least on them in the main category. I feel like Fallout 4 always has some people running glitchless runs. The glitchless category has gotten kind of popular for Fallout 4 over the years.
Mm-hmm.
When I first ran it, it was like me and like two other people who had ever ran it, I think. But in the past like 3 or 4 years, it's picked up in popularity. Um, I would say like, there's usually on average like 4 or 5 pretty active users per 3D Fallout at a time. If they're not doing runs, they're active in the Discord server. I personally haven't been too active in the Fallout Discord server in quite some time. Um, but it's healthy to the point where it's not stagnant, but it's not like there's a big group of people always grinding. It's not every day that people are grinding for record. It's a smaller group really goes for the higher up like spots on the leaderboard just because of how antagonistic the games can be, especially Fallout 4. So, it's got a community. It's healthy in that I'd say it's active, but doesn't compare to these bigger runs like, the games you run with Mario
Yeah.
or things like Cuphead or the Source games or Dark Souls. It's like
Mm-hmm.
those have dozens of runners at any given point. Fallout's nowhere near that point.
So like kind of a moderate size, I guess, because
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
dead, but
Right, right.
so but yeah, so there was some competition back when you were running it at least. So
Yeah. And it's one of those things where I feel like there's pretty much always competition in it if you're active, but it's going to be by a small subset of people, only a couple people.
mhm. So for at least 3 in New Vegas, I assume you stuck kind of with the any percent.
Yeah, I mostly just did any percent. In New Vegas, I also did all sleeping partners because I love me a
Oh,
meme run. I love me sex percent runs.
I see.
Um, and I think that's the only I did like one glitchless run, but 3 for a little bit. I also did all quests,
Oh.
which is actually a really awesome run. I would actually really like to one day run all quests again. There's a lot of the Fallout 3 run is you get speed cripple and then you clip through the map, trying to in
Mhm.
all quests, beat the quest as fast as possible. But the all quest run, at least when I was running it, there's a lot of variety to it in not necessarily the tech, but the way the tech is applied. There's lots of different clips, there's lots of different sequence breaks. So it's really enjoyable. It's pretty well paced. It doesn't feel like there are a few longer walking segments, but it doesn't ever feel like, all right, we got 3 minutes to kill.
Mhm.
It's a pretty active run and it's like 70-80 minutes. So I like the all quest Fallout 3 run. But I only ran that for just a little bit of time, but mostly just focused on any percent, like you had said.
Mhm. Yeah, that sounds interesting. I'm actually surprised it's still that short, but um also knowing like how broken the game is, it can also
Mhm.
be surprising that it's that long. It's like this
Yeah.
weird thing with how the game is because there's
Mhm.
so much content, but it's also Bethesda games, so it's broken as hell.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. It's like I feel like with these games, whenever they come out, it's a complete coin toss. Like, okay, is this going to be totally broken and that we can beat it in 10 minutes, or is this going to be a 45-minute run at least?
mhm. But yeah, that sounds cool because yeah, there's not a ton going on in the any percent run because yeah, it's pretty straightforward main quest
Yeah,
line from what I remember.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Especially Fallout 3. It's you leave the vault, you walk one direction to discover a location for later, or you leave the vault, get speed cripple, walk one direction, and then you just walk all the way across the map in another direction, do a little quest there, and then like get kidnapped, and then escape and fast travel back to that first place you found, and just walk to the end of the game. It's pretty cut and dry.
yeah, so it's nice to have that variety where you do a lot more
Exactly.
while
Lots,
still
and
showing off the reasons why the
exact
game's a little weird.
exactly. And there's lots of variety to that all quest run. You see lots of different parts of the map. You see places like, I don't, like you said you play Fallout 3. So like
Mhm,
you go to Tenpenny Tower. You
mhm,
go you're in Erifu with like the vampire people or whatever. You're doing all this stuff in downtown DC, like clipping in and out of buildings and sequence breaking across a hospital and all this stuff. It's fun.
mhm.
It's pretty active.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Um, and then I know about Fallout 4 that there's like more categories than I know what to do with, especially in the meme variety
Yeah.
specifically. So,
Yeah, Fallout 4, we made a lot of meme runs over the years. Sex Percent is the big one. That
of
was like
course.
originally done by a runner who goes by Jasha Khajiit. Um, and it started with there. There's a bunch of random ones that have kind of popped up over the years. There's a bunch of runs that don't even have leaderboards.
Hmm.
So yeah,
But the fact that a lot of them do have leaderboards kind of show, yeah, this game's just we have fun with it.
exactly. Yeah, and I feel like the Fallout speedrunning community has a good grasp on, you know, you don't have to speedrun for a leaderboard,
Of course, yeah.
speedruns. Like I'm looking right now, we do have an extension spreadsheet with a bunch of just random categories. Um, like a lot of people in the community have a good head on their shoulders when it comes, because a lot of people like are all about, oh, I only want to speed run if I can, if it's gonna get on a leaderboard, but that's not why you speed run. At the end of the day, you speed run for fun. You speed run to entertain yourself, to set personal goals, and you can do all of that without a leaderboard. So
Hmm.
we like to just be like, oh, what if, what's a dumb thing you can do in the game? Oh, let's do a speed run for that.
Someone said eat a baby. Should I ask?
Yeah, yeah, that was um yeah, that was a run that I did on my channel. I'm the only one to ever do a run for it. Technically, you have to mod your game to
Hmm,
do that. I believe the person who asked, she's actually one of my mods. She
I see.
was there when I was doing the runs. It's you have to mod your game. Just there's a baby in one of the DLCs, baby Marie, who's like immune to radiation. Um, and there's a very famous mod that went viral in like 2010 or 11 where you can eat baby Marie. So
Okay.
I installed that mod and I routed out the fastest way to do that, and made a video explaining it on my channel. And the whole point, like I kind of have a 3-part series of modded Fallout runs with stupid objectives. There's speedrun to eat a baby, speedrun to get pregnant, and speedrun to I think I called it like steal a baby or adopt a baby.
Hmm.
And it's it's all of them I talk about. Like you don't need leaderboards to speedrun. Like if you want to do a speedrun, but there's a hard glitch in it that you don't like, just don't do the glitch, speedrun without it. You don't
Hmm.
have to do all the strats that are required for a top time. You can speedrun on your own time and rules. It's a very personal activity.
Yeah, it's always important to do it for the fun of it, not for the like competition comes naturally with it and stuff, but the most
Exactly.
important thing is just enjoying the craft, I guess.
Exactly.
But anyway, to completely go against that notion, back when you were playing Fallout back
Mhm.
did you get some world records?
Yeah, I actually set a lot of records for Fallout 4.
Mm,
Um, Pretty much from mm, like late spring, early summer 2017 up until like 2022. I held the record pretty continuously for Fallout 4. There's there were a few times where I lost the record for like a week or two, but for like a 5 year span, I held the record pretty continuously. The last time I set a record in it was 2020, and I haven't done runs since. Um, but I set a lot of records in Fallout 4. That game is like kind of my baby
mhm,
in terms of the Fallout runs. If I were to do runs again, I'm not going to say like I would sit there and grind for records, but it's always enticing. I love that speed run. I love grinding it and pushing it to its absolute limits. So a lot of records in Fallout 4. And then Anthology I held records in, but I was the only one really doing Anthology runs at the time.
mhm,
So I don't hold the record in it anymore. My good friend Jabo did a run in it several years after I had done my run. Um, with like much I'm calling Jabo out. I'm putting Jabo on the spot. Jabo only beat my time because of all of the new strats that were found.
mm,
And so there wasn't much competition for Anthology, so I held the record in that for a bit, but I haven't held it for a few years because of that, because of damn Jabo.
mhm. Starting drama here today.
I know, he's gonna kill me.
Oh well. Yeah,
No, he's a good
that's how
bud.
competition starts. You know, it's that good motivation to keep going.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like for the most part, speedrunning is so healthy in that aspect where, um, like, I'd be lying if I said when I first started speedrunning, I didn't let it get to my head at times or
Mm,
like get too serious about it with some people, and I regret that and I've apologized to people, but for the most part, I feel like the speedrunning community, especially the Fallout community, has gotten to a pretty healthy point with records where, we it's very much a communal thing. It's not just like, yeah, okay, that person is the one who got the record, but it's due to the work of many people. It's a community thing to celebrate. It's a community moment. The fact that this run, like a big milestone was set, it's like, oh, someone did the first sub 30 run in this game. Like it's ever a lot of people have means to celebrate because a lot of people contributed to that.
mm, yeah. Yeah, I definitely still can struggle mentally with it at times. Um, I mean, there's a lot when you get passionate about something, like there's a lot of care involved, so
Hmm.
your emotions are impacted more than you'd think they would be, I guess. But
Right.
yeah, it can be hard to get the mentality to be good in it sometimes when you get to that level of like, oh man, this is my life now. So,
Yeah. And I feel like a big part of what drives people to try and adapt that healthy mindset is just sustainability, because if you're going to stick around with speedrunning for a long time, you got to be in the right headspace for it, cuz it's so easy to burn yourself out
mhm.
or
Oh yeah.
focus on the wrong things and just bring in too much negativity to yourself and just grow to hate it, or do it for unhealthy reasons that lead to burnout. So I feel like it's one of those things where if you're in speed running long enough, it's a swim or die type thing. You're either gonna adapt these mental practices to keep it in a healthy place. Otherwise, you're gonna lose your love for it.
Mhm. And I've certainly been there, and I'm sure many people have been there, so it's it's an important thing to recognize, I guess,
Big
to
time.
keep the love of the craft alive. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, it can definitely be hard. At least it was for me to like really focus on it. And I'm still not perfect, but I recognize the importance of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Always important to talk about, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those things as well that people don't realize necessarily when they're just viewing speedrunning from an outsider's perspective.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Um but yeah, back to Fallout 4 specifically, did you hold any percent like a lot? Is that what you talked about, or was it like multiple different categories in that?
It was multiple different categories, but mostly any percent. There was a time when I held every record in
Mm.
like 2017 or 18, but I kind of stopped focusing on the side ones. Um, and mostly just focused on any percent. Any percent is hands down the run that I know the best, and not saying I know the best out of people, but it's just of the runs I know, that's the one I'm most comfortable with and most familiar with. Um, so like if I were to go back to Fallout speed running, Fallout 4 any percent is probably where I would start. You know,
Mm.
it's
The
one of
tried
those
and
things where
true.
exactly, and like even though I haven't done a run in almost 4 years, I feel like I could get back into it pretty quickly. It's like riding a bike.
Mm.
You
Yeah, the
you
muscle
fill in the
memory
gaps.
is always there.
Exactly, and like the knowledge of, like I talked about, like a big part of the Fallout 4 run is building up this knowledge database in your head of all the different ways to end a run or have a run be ruined. And like that's all there, that's all still up there. And once I start doing runs, that'll all come back like, oh yeah, right. I want to avoid this, um, make sure I do this, etc. So
Hmm.
it'll come back very quick.
So yeah, with all this Fallout running, it led to the anthology, which led to GDQ. So how did that all
Hmm.
like become a thing?
So anthology started when I first started doing runs. A figurehead in the community, he's not really in speedrunning as much anymore, is Dr. T Chops. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him or the
I
name.
don't believe so.
He was big name in especially PC speedruns in the 2010s. And he long story short, like I would stream Fallout 4, and at the time my layout had a picture that I had found online of like the armor from all of the Fallout games. And I had that on my stream, and he would come in and joke like, "Oh, if you have all those, you got to do anthology runs. Anthology when?" And I'm pretty sure like he had done an anthology run like years prior, when it was just before Fallout 4 had released, um, before it was a leaderboard. And he would always just hound me like, anthology win, anthology win. So then I started learning New Vegas and 3, and then I started with anthology runs that summer. So it started from the peer pressure of it all.
Of course.
As all great things do, they start with peer
Hmm.
pressure.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so it started there, and I submitted anthology, I feel like a couple times to GDQ, but it wasn't until GDQ, at least they used to be, a lot more esoteric with how they wanted certain things to be submitted. And apparently at the time, anthology runs were, they were accepted or not accepted. You could submit them, but no one had done an anthology run solo like that. And it was like, I forget if I heard from someone else, oh, this is how GDQ wants people to submit anthology runs. Like, you submit all the runs, more or less, you submit all the games separately with the same category, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. So, like, I submitted 5 runs, and they were all Fallout 1, 2, 3, 4, New Vegas, but they were all to the same category.
Hmm.
Um, and that it's a bit counterintuitive, instead of just submitting like just the anthology run. So once I learned of that, it was like the first time I submitted it under that guideline, it got accepted. So I don't
Hmm.
know if it was just they were waiting for people to submit it right. uh, that
I
seems a
don't
bit
think
silly.
so, but
Exactly, it seems a bit silly to operate under that assumption.
hmm.
But GDQ used to be a lot more, they're esoteric with how they wanted certain things to be done. But yeah, so I submitted it, it got in, and yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. I did Fallout 4 any percent at ESA 2019 the summer before,
Hmm.
so I had a little bit of in-person marathon experience. The big thing from the anthology run is I made a diorama for it to explain a glitch. Um, and like if you watch the ESA run from 2019, I just grabbed random objects from the hotel room and like we used that to explain something. So then it was like going into the anthology run at GDQ. I was like, that worked, but it would work better if I just was a little more prepared and I actually made something built for this specific purpose. So like I went in to the anthology run, pretty much I'm very much a just go with the flow, free ball it type of person. So I didn't like plan out commentary or anything, just kind of went into it. I've explained the run so many times on stream or in videos, it's like second nature. Um and the one going into the run, like everything went great. I mean, great from an entertainment perspective, I guess you could say. Not from a speedrun perspective, but like not many people know this, the GDQ donation tracker actually went down during the run, and we didn't have donations for like most of the run. It was
Hmm.
once we got to Fallout 3 it went down. So like if you go back and watch it, like donations stopped from that point on, and there were lots of points where we were planning to just throw it to the donations for killing time and filling air, but we didn't have that, so we just kind of, we just memed it up in a way, or not even memed it up, but we were just like, all right, what do we talk about now? And thank God for people who were on my couch, like Blood Thunder. He helped me with asking random questions, like, oh, so which of these speed runs do you like most? And he just really helped fill dead air. But no, it was a good time. The whole build up to, and then the actual execution of the anthology. And I was super happy with it. And it's a time I look back on very fondly.
Yeah, that run was actually very popular too.
Yeah, people really dug it.
Yeah. I I don't think I saw it live, but I definitely watched it later on YouTube,
Mhm.
and I thought it was just one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Thank you. Yeah, I've only rewatched it once since I've done it, and it's pretty entertaining. I felt like there was one thing. Oh, the one thing I love to say because the donation tracker went down is that I'm pretty sure I have the speed run that raised the least money in GDQ history.
Hmm.
So I like to take pride in that.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Means a lot.
A prestigious award, surely. But yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of just comical moments there
hmm
with how the games are, and then yeah, the explanations.
Yeah,
And
it worked out really well. A lot of happy accidents there. A lot of things that ended up being very funny due to mistakes I made.
so was that your now when you said ESA, did you go to it? I don't remember if they had online things.
Yeah. I went to ESA 2019 in Malmo, Sweden.
Hmm.
It's the only time I've been to Europe. It's the only time I've been to ESA. Only run I've done there. But it was awesome. It's a very different event from GDQ. I'm not sure if you've been to both ESA and GDQ.
No, I could never afford to go to
Mhm.
ESA.
Yeah, it's quite the trip making it out there.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll leave that for the Europeans,
Yeah,
as it's supposed to
throw
be.
them the throw them the crumbs.
Yeah.
That's theirs. We got GDQ.
Hmm. And was 2020 your first GDQ then?
Yeah, that was the first GDQ I'd ever been to, and like that was true up until I just went to AGDQ 2024 this past winter. The only two GDQs I've ever been to. I love them. I want to go more, but it feels like, every year something comes up where I'm not able to go. Like this year, I was planning to go to SGDQ, but one of my best friends, he's getting married this fall, and his bachelor party is that week. So it's just like,
Mm.
well, there's going to be more GDQs. My friend's only getting married once, so I want to be there for him.
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
fair.
so it's always been things like that. Things, the timing not right, things coming up. So I want to go to more GDQ. You know, I'm sure you feel the same way going to it, but it really reinvigorates your love for speedrunning. Like
Hmm.
it's just awesome being around so many like-minded people and people who share a passion for, the same super niche thing and same super niche goals. So I love it and I want to go back. It's so inspiring being around so many amazing people.
Yeah, it's literally the highlights of my year,
It's
easily.
amazing.
So yeah,
It's truly amazing.
yeah, I love what they do there, and
Me too.
so yeah, I've been to so many now. Like I
How
have
many
my
have you been to?
um 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite one that you've been to in terms of not necessarily from the experiences you had, but just from how the event was ran?
God, that's gonna be hard. This past one was pretty good because it felt like GDQ again as someone that went pre-pandemic. It felt
Mhm.
like it was becoming what it used to be again because ever since the pandemic, like obviously everything's different now. So
Right, right.
er, I don't know.
Some of my friends who I was talking to who go to GDQ regularly, they said that this one felt like we are so back. It just had
Yes,
that
that's
vibe.
exactly what it felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2020 was really good though. I'd say probably that, but I mean, all of them are like super close together on
Mhm.
the cool scale. It's hard to
Do
decide.
you having been to so many, do you have a favorite location that they've held it in?
Hmm. Um, I mean, the Florida one was nice, but it's also Florida, so
Yeah.
hard to say for certain. But I don't know. SGDQ is always in Minneapolis, and at that time of year they have it there. It's quite a nice location. So
Yeah.
I'd say that probably,
Gotcha. I
especially
really
now
wanna
it's
go
like
to SDQ.
downtown, so you can walk everywhere.
Yeah. I love Minneapolis. I went to school up there. I'm itching to go back and visit that city for an SGDQ, but it's just, one of these times it's gonna work out.
Well, I'm sure they're not going anywhere, so there's plenty of
Yeah.
opportunity. Hope well as long as it stays there, which I mean they've been there for years, so.
Yeah, they've been doing Minnesota since, like, 2015.
Hmm. Yeah, and it works out perfectly. It's just funny because AGDQ's been every single AGDQ I've been to has been somewhere else.
It's funny how that works
And
out.
if I
Hopefully
went the year before the first one I went to, it also would have been somewhere else.
wow. Hopefully they stay with Pittsburgh, hopefully there's not much moving around. Pittsburgh, I
Um,
loved it.
yeah,
I
it
thought
was
the
just way too
location was
cold,
great.
but
Yeah, it was very cold. We had quite the cold streak while we were there.
so hopefully a little luckier next time. But yeah, other than
Yeah.
that, like walking to that square, it was perfect.
Oh my gosh. And then what's it called? Like Barvati Bros or Parmont, whatever it's called.
Mm.
So good.
I don't think I went there.
Uh there's I'm looking it up. What's it called? Permonti Bros. If it's it back in Pittsburgh, you gotta go to Permonti Bros in that square that's there. So good. So good.
All right, noted.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah, I ate somewhere different every day there. There's so much there in that square. It's quite nice. And
Right?
then there's still some other places nearby too. I mean,
Mm.
you're right smack down in the middle of downtown, quite literally.
Yeah.
So
It's called like what? The Point? You're like right at the
yeah,
intersection
right
of those
where
two
the
rivers.
rivers meet,
Yeah. Super
quite
cool
literally.
location.
And then your hotel overlooked where they merged together in the whole like grassy square where that fort used to be. People were
Mhm.
drawing in the snow the whole week.
Yeah, I remember seeing people post pictures to Twitter like, "Oh, here's what the speedrunners have to say today," with random messages in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
God, I
Yeah.
love speedrunners.
They put in the work there. I mean,
They
the
do.
words they would make out were like gigantic, so they had
Yeah,
that all planned out. But yeah, that was a good event.
it was. It was a good one.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed my time. And then you see, back with the question of like, what's the best one? The past two ones I've been in the actual event, so does that go into my decision? I don't know,
Yeah.
because that's kind of a big deal to me at least. So
Yeah, no, it's a huge deal. It's a
it's
it's a huge honor being accepted to help with the event and, be a contributing factor to the stream and whatnot. It's awesome.
mhm. Oh yeah, and then I know you've done plenty of commentary for some GDQ runs, despite not maybe running yourself, especially
Hmm.
this past one.
Hmm.
So, what games were you knowledgeable on to do that for?
At this event, it was Starfield,
Mm,
which at the time I was
Bethesda, of
second
course.
place. Yes, yeah. That was the game that kind of got me back into streaming and speedrunning with Starfield because it's a big Bethesda release. I got to do it.
Of
Um,
course. And that
so
means it can be beaten in 30 minutes anyway, or whatever. So it's nice and easy.
exactly, yeah. So Starfield, I commentated Hark's run. Hark is the world record holder. At the time, I was second place. Although actually, I was second place like going into the event. I think it was like maybe while I was at the event or right before, like the day or two before. Another runner named Natami um just took second place for me. Actually, no, it might have been a couple weeks before. Anyway, I was like second and third place for that run. So is knowledgeable enough for that to help out. That was a fun run to be a part of. That was a Hark didn't travel to the event, so it was interesting having the run be online, but myself and my co-commentator Meta, he and I were there in person doing commentary. Like they brought us to this side conference
Hmm.
room, and it was so muggy in there. Oh my lord, that felt like we were in Florida, being in that room. That was brutal.
Yeah.
But
Uh, Not to cut you off, but that
no, you're
reminds
good.
me. God, what? I want to say it was SGDQ 2022. I remember. Um, Specifically, it was the 120 star run that Simply did.
Hmm.
Because I saw him at the event, but then he did the run online. It was interesting. I think something came up, but I knew it was two commentators, and so they like they used this hallway, they blocked it off, put them there, and I have to assume that was just a huge mess. So
Yeah, it's interesting.
hopefully it got a little better. So whatever you had to experience was probably better than that, at least. I don't know.
It certainly sounds like it. It certainly sounds like it was a bit more put together and prepared in advance.
Hmm.
But getting back to the question, I did Starfield and then I commentated Baldur's Gate 3 at the end of the week.
Hmm.
Um, that run, I didn't because at the time I was like third place in any percent. I think I'm like fifth place now. Um, I knew the basic main glitches that were used in any percent. Um, So, I could help explain, but I was mostly just there for support for May. It was her first time doing a GDQ run. I really didn't know like anything about the route going into it. She had shown off the run to me at some point during the week and explained things, but it was really late at night, and we all know what happens at GDQ at night. Like, people like to have fun, so I was not in a state of mind to hold on to that information. So I was pretty blind going into the run, but mostly just there for support for May. But yeah, those were the two that I helped with that this most recent one. I haven't done any online commentary for GDQ. But in the past, like when I was at AGDQ 2020, I did commentary on Sekiro
Mm.
for Lil Aggie, which was a really fun run to be a part of. I actually think that run like that was just a really really cool run. That was a bonus game like on the final day, and it we weren't sure if we were actually if Lil Aggie was going to be able to do his run as a bonus game, and then there
Mm.
was like just enough time to do it. That one came together really well. I felt like commentary was great on that. That was a super fun one, and the only reason why I was on that one was because I was working on a Sekiro video with Lil Aggie at the time that was only a few weeks away from releasing. So I was pretty brushed up on the game. I knew most of the stuff. And then other than that, I did commentary for one of Covert Muffin's Star Wars runs. I knew nothing about it. I was just there for moral support from one of my best buds. But yeah, those are I think most of there's probably one or two that I'm forgetting, but I think those are most of them.
Mm. And to try to understand the timeline, after AGDQ 2020 and you did your run, did you kind of like take a break from speedrunning until you said Starfield came out and you kind of got back into it.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm involved in speedrunning, like my
Hmm.
full-time job is my YouTube channel where I talk about speedruns.
Yeah, and we'll definitely
Um
get into that. But
yeah. But like, I've just been really focused on YouTube and upping my game there and just trying to make sure I get videos out in a timely manner. So I streaming it was more I like to stream when I do my speed runs, and it was more I didn't have the time to stream than I didn't want to stream and do speed runs.
mhm.
I'm very strict with myself about not letting YouTube, take over my life and have it be I'm working 12-hour days every day. Like I'll wake up and I start work at like 7:30 or 8 a.m. just like a normal job, and I try and cut it off at normal work hours, like a day job.
Mhm.
And I try to treat it like that so that there's like a clear divide between YouTube and personal life. So in the past I would work my full-time job before I went full-time with YouTube. And then in the afternoon, like when speedrunning was still a hobby, um, I would have the time to sit down at night and be like, oh, it's my hobby. I'm speed running, I'm streaming. But as
Mhm.
soon as, it stopped being hobby and it started being profession, I was like, okay, I need to draw clear boundaries. So it was, the past few years been sorting that out. And again, we'll get into it. But just got to a point recently where I'm like, okay, I think I can balance the two now.
That's good. So
Yeah.
Starfield came out last year, and that was kind of the drawback into it. And because that's a Bethesda game, I assume that's got its own crazy bullshit in its own right. So, what's
In a
that
way,
like?
yeah. It's Starfield on one hand is like the most boring in terms of tech.
Mm,
It doesn't really have it has a little bit going for it, but the big thing is what's called a zip, which is more or less you have your character in third person and you run forward and jump and block while you're in the air. And when you land, you get a little boost forward. And you can use that in combination with like pausing and saving on like very specific frames
mm,
to clip through walls. Specifically, we have a plugin in Live Split that reads your speed in the game. So like you can look over at Live Split at any point and see how fast you're moving.
mm,
And we use that to you have to pause on during a very specific window of frames to be able to clip through a wall with a zip. So you look to your live split timer to see what your speed is when you pause and know whether or not you got you paused at the right time and can clip through. So that's the big thing. It's a pain to learn. It's not terrible once you get good at them, but they're not very enjoyable or fun in the long
mm.
run. It's one of those things where it's a piece of tech that, and I'm sure you're familiar with this, like it's the one thing that really ruins your runs.
Mhm.
So you could have a run go super late and then you fail on the last one. It's like great. Or there's also a speech check right at the end of the run that if you fail just ruins your run, so that's fun.
What's
um
the percentage of that speech check?
that's a good question. I want to say that the thing is with the way Starfield is, which is a whole other conversation, the way Starfield does. Let's do it. All right.
Okay.
Normally in Fallout, you do speech checks and it'll give you like in 3 in New Vegas, it kind of gives you a percentage, or in 3 it gives you a percentage that it will work. In New Vegas, it's a cutoff. It's like you need to have 60 for this to work, and you're
Mhm.
at 50. Fallout 4 is kind of back to percentages, but they hide the percentage.
Mm,
um Starfield is kind of the percentages, but at the same time, you kind of have a meter along the bottom of your screen. Let me try. You have a meter on the bottom of your screen that's like 4 to 6 little bars, And when you're doing a speech check, it's not just one speech check that you're doing, it's multiple of varying difficulty, and you get to choose which one you want. And if you succeed on a lower difficulty one, you only get like 1 or 2 bars for this meter. But if you succeed in a harder one, you fill up more of the bar and you have like 2 or 3 failures. So you sit there and it's like I feel like the math in the end works out to like 90% of the time you succeed.
Oh,
But
okay.
you know, it's all random every time. It's
Hmm.
not the same, and this is just Starfield, you know. It's focused on replayability rather than the quality the first time through and whatnot. They want you to like play through it over and over and over. So it's like a pool of lines that are chosen from, that are presented to you, that you pick from. And it's not like there's time loss and oh, I was given bad lines, but you know, it's never quite the same. So it's hard to say exactly what the percentages are, because not only is it multiple speech checks you're doing, but you know, sometimes you're given different odds. Like, oh, this time I was only given like +2 as the lowest, which is like harder than +1, you know. So it depends. But I feel like it's around like 90% of the time it would succeed.
All right. Well, at least that doesn't sound too bad. But
No, it could be worse, but you know, there were certainly times where I had my goal time and I was losing my mind from doing this run over and over and losing it for various reasons. And then, you know, I was right on pace for my goal time and then I would lose it to the speech check. So it happens sometimes and it just made me want
hmm,
to hit my head into a wall.
yeah. Well, doesn't sound like the most fun thing to run then.
No, I would recommend other games first.
Hmm.
It's fun for a few times, but I would definitely recommend other games before going off the deep end in Starfield.
So so that was kind of the first game of the return, it sounds like. So what else have you
Yes.
done since?
I then did Baldur's Gate for just a couple streams. Uh, Baldur's Gate, for as big of a game is, it is any percent speed run is just under 4 minutes. The world record is 3 minutes and 28 seconds. So I learned that on stream, and honestly, I think I streamed it twice, and then I had third place. So that I did that. That didn't last too long, but while I was at GDQ, I got the idea to speedrun Wii Sports,
Mm.
and that's mostly what I've been speedrunning since is Wii Sports. I'm currently top 50 in all sports, which is like the main category. And I freaking love speedrunning Wii Sports. It's so fun. It's so freaking fun. So I haven't been able to stream or speedrun the past month, just from finishing up a video I've been working on. It's been that and a lot of side projects. But a lot of those things are wrapping up. So I plan to actually this week start streaming Wii Sports speedruns again.
Yeah, so what got you to do Wii Sports?
Um, I don't want to spoil
All right.
because there's I want to submit a run to the future for to a future GDQ involving Wii Sports.
I see.
But it was mostly a friend of mine who I was at GDQ with. We were talking about the idea of submitting a speed run together, and we were trying to figure out what we should do, what would be funny, what would be fun, what would be entertaining, and Wii Sports came up with this idea that involves Wii Sports, and I won't get into the whole gimmick of it and whatnot, but it involves Wii Sports. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start getting good at Wii Sports. And yeah, I've been speedrunning it for. I guess I took the last month off, but I've ran it for around 2 months now. I would say it's fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, I remember there was a summoning cell video on it. So I saw that, and yeah, I follow a few people that run it at like a high level. So it's always
Mhm.
interesting. So much RNG in that game though.
It's crazy. It's so much RNG. Baseball alone, ugh,
Hmm.
don't even get me started on baseball.
Yeah, I'm someone that like can't stand RNG. It makes me rage sometimes. So I don't know if I
Mhm.
could. Well, obviously, if it was like a casual speedrun, that's different. But at a certain point, I feel like I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah,
because
it's
it's so much in that game.
yeah, fucking baseball.
Fucking baseball.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then you also have to be so precise with motion controls. I feel like Wii Motion Plus is like a must-have.
Yes, it kind of is. I actually just got Wii Motion Plus
Nice.
after speedrunning it for a few weeks. And it does make a difference. But it's tennis. I'll just run through all the sports real quick. Tennis, there's not too much RN. I guess not too much precision. There's RNG with whether or not they return your serves.
Hmm.
Really, all you're going for is like that super fast ace serve. Baseball is a hellhole
Hmm.
so much so to the point where there's a Wii Sports extension category, all sports, no baseball.
Hmm.
So I run that a lot as well. I'm top 50 in both with and without baseball. I think I'm like 42nd or 43rd in both. Yeah, 42nd in one, 43rd in the other. So pretty consistent. If nothing, I'm consistent.
It's good.
But no, baseball's like you have to when you're batting, you have to bunt at a super precise angle because you want to bunt right down the third baseline. Um, and it's just really hard. There's the RNG of whether or not they're throwing pitches to you that you can even bunt well or bunt with that angle. And your character bobs up and down a little bit. So it's hard to be perfectly consistent with that. And there's lots of RNG time loss there with them throwing bad pitches or you fouling off a bunch of balls and having a really long at bat. So batting is horrible. And then ideally a fast batting ends with you hitting a grand slam. So like, you have to be able to hit a home run then, which can be hard at times. But then pitching, it's entirely determined. A fast inning is they hit the ball and they get out immediately. So the best inning I've ever had was 4 pitches, which is crazy.
Hmm.
But like it's sometimes you'll have a great inning where you throw 9 pitches, 9 strikes, and they're all out. And yeah, that's really fast, but a 4 pitch inning is twice as fast as that.
Hmm.
Under half as many pitches. Or like sometimes they'll actually get hits or hit a bunch of foul balls, and it's just so much out of your control with baseball. Bowling is great. It's your goal is just get as many strikes as possible because then you're throwing the ball less up until the final frame. Because if you get a strike or a spare on the final frame, you throw an additional ball. So you like try and get as many strikes as possible. And I love the bowling stretch; it's really fun. Um, Golf has a bit of RNG with, or I guess with the precision in bowling as well. It's not terribly precise. Pretty much the big thing is you have to throw there's a few ways to do it. The way that I do it is pretty much you try and throw the ball as straight as possible, which is a bit tough at times. I feel like it depends on the day how straight I can throw it. Because minor variance in the motion detector is going to think you twisted your wrist a little bit, and then you won't hit it right on, so you won't get a strike. So there's a little bit of variance there. Golf is I would say more RNG than precision. There is a lot of precision in terms of hitting at the right distance and whatnot, but you can get good at that. I'm really bad at it. I'm really, really bad at hitting it with the right power. It's just, I know how hard I have to hit it. I just have a hard time with it. But like I look at the top runners and they're pretty consistent. So
And
that's
they
just a
do
skill.
disconnect strategies.
Oh, dude, yeah, don't even get me started on those. I tried learning those on my first day. I'm like, I don't know how this is physically possible.
Hmm.
You have to like, for those of you unaware, you have to like mid swing disconnect your controller by popping one of the batteries out. So like they'll have little things in here they like press in to pop the battery out, and the timing is really really tight because you have to get it like mid swing and then reconnect it while the ball is still in the air and finish your swing. And it's ridiculous. I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense to me. So I'll learn it one day, but I'm focusing on getting good at everything first. I don't want to
Hmm.
spend so much time learning it when I don't know the basics or when it's why should I spend all this time and effort trying to save 20 seconds in this split when I can save 20 seconds in another split just by getting good, you
Hmm.
know? So golf is tough, but it's really fun to like, get I've just gotten good at driver chips to where like I can consistently, if I'm in a bunker, hit the ball with my driver to hit the flag and it falls into the hole. So it's been like super gratifying getting good at that. Um, I would say it's like generally, it's definitely one of the more precision intensive ones, but I would say baseball is the most. And then boxing is you're just punch
Hmm.
into a rhythm. Boxing's a great little way to end the run.
And then it's like RNG if he gets back up or not, right?
Right, right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, he can pop back up. So usually if I'm on PB pace and I knock him down, and it's to the point where if he gets up, I lose the PB.
Hmm.
I can't afford that in my PB anymore. So whenever I knock him down, there's lots of cusses being thrown out. You stay down, um, just yelling at him, being
That
verbally
last bit of
abusive.
stress at the very end, just
Mhm,
watching and waiting and hoping for the
mhm.
KO to pop up.
Uh-huh. Or like the worst is like you just hear the "Toot, toot, toot, toot" of his thing starting to refill, and you're just like, oh no, here we go. Rip run.
Man, what a game. What a
It's
speed run.
it's I know. And I honestly though, I love it. Like I say almost pretty much anytime I am running it consistently, so like not the past month, but just like man, I just want to speed run Wii Sports right now. It's addicting. It's just really addicting. It's a really fun run.
Hmm. And that's nice because, RNG does have the benefit where no two runs are going to be the same. So even though you're playing the same speed run, every run is going to be different. So
Right.
it at least feels like you're not just doing the same monotonous thing. Like, say, Mario, what I do is just the same thing, same frame perfects over and over and over and over for 20,000 times. It's like,
I don't know how you do it. I do not know how you do it.
that's why I haven't played any percent in 3 years. But anyway.
I mean, especially I'm sure it's a bit discouraging the way how optimized the run is getting,
Hmm.
where it's just like, oh, I at least personally, I'd be like, there's no way I could do that. That's too much grinding. I want to keep my sanity.
Yeah. I joined at a good time where it wasn't impossible. Now it's impossible, but
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how far you guys have all pushed that run down.
it is absurd. I
Yeah.
can't lie. Like even when I joined, it was like people were talking about how crazy it was, and
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel
uh,
like it's always it feels like people are like, "Oh, this is a crazy record. This is and like, I started watching years ago with why am I blanking on his name? He's from like West Virginia. He was like the top runner for a while for
we're
SMB.
talking about Mario One. You're talking about Darby, and then
Yes, yes, Darbian. I watched so much Darbian back in like 2017, 2018, and even then it was like this is crazy. These are
mm-hmm,
crazy records he's getting. And to where it's at now, the fact that we're at 454, and
mm-hmm.
not only that we are there, but the top 5 people are all there, top 6 people are all in it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's funny. So shortly after I started like watching speedrunning, like 2 months after Darby set his current PB, and I remember being like, "Oh my god, this is crazy! My PB is over a second faster than that. What
It's,
happened?
it's amazing.
Me? It's weird.
Yeah, you.
I
Hell
don't
yeah,
know.
you.
I don't know. It's a weird to think about when you look over the history of everything. But
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people can kind of relate to that if they've been around speedrunning a lot. It's just you look at the game you played a lot. It's like, what happened?
right. Like I had that moment when we were just looking at New Vegas. I'm like, man, I
Mhm.
started speedrunning that. The record was like 14 minutes, 13 minutes. Now it's just over 8. Like, what the fuck happened?
Exactly. That's speedrunning for you.
I know. I love it. I love speedrunning.
Hmm. What a fascinating hobby that just
I
never
know.
really gets old if you do it right.
No.
So, and I mean, nowadays the cool thing is like learning the intricate details and everything through content. And Now this is the great segue into the other thing that you're probably more known for is the YouTube side of things. So we can
Yeah.
begin that conversation with how you began making content.
Yeah, I guess how it began. I mean, my YouTube channel started as most speedrunners' YouTube channels do. It's a place to upload your PBs. It's a place to upload your records.
Mm-hmm.
That was my original intention, and early on, you know, Bethesda has a really big audience. It's a Bethesda content is very popular on YouTube. There's lots of people who make a living just off of Skyrim, just off of Fallout. Like they're very, very popular games for people to watch. So naturally, there's like a natural audience for my speed runs. I got, especially with the anthology runs in 2017 and 18, I had a couple thousand subscribers, and you know, that's mostly just what it was I would speed run on stream, upload my PBs to YouTube, and I would try to do at the time we called them heavy commentary.
Mm.
Back in the day, when you wanted to watch a run with commentary of someone describing something, the only place to really get that consistently was GDQ. So we would always talk about like, oh, let's do a run with commentary as if I were at GDQ. We called it heavy commentary. So I'll do a lot of heavy commentary runs where I would explain in real time what I was doing. And I would do that all the time on stream in hopes that I got a run while I was doing the heavy commentary. I got a PB that I could then upload to YouTube. So then the YouTube video, the commentary from stream was me explaining how to do it. And you know, I built a little audience with that, couple thousand subscribers, probably like 2 or 3,000. And you know, it's by no means small as well, I should say, especially for speedrunner. Like that's amazing. I was super grateful for having that at the time and still to this day. Um, but it started with that, and just over time, you know, I tried out doing stream highlights or highlights from specific moments, and nothing really. Let me actually pull up my channel and so I can more accurately recall these off the top of my head. Um, you know, it was mostly just that. Didn't really do any edited videos. It was the occasional stream highlight, mostly just speed runs, and then in like March or April of 2018, there was a big push in Fallout 4 to be the first to get a run under 40 minutes. And I was really busy with school at the time, so I did not stream as much. I did not stream that grind wholly. It was a lot of offline grinding. And in doing that, I got a run where I like wasn't talking. It was just all gameplay, no commentary. So then I went back in post and I recorded commentary, and it's super crude. It's very, very crude. Um, but it did really, really well on YouTube. People really liked the format. So, you know, I didn't start doing more of that right away. It was still a bit more stream highlights, stream VODs. There was like one edited video in there called Speed Cucked. But it was, you know, it's if you scroll through my YouTube channel, you can kind of see a slow, gradual change from just it being highlights to being slightly more produced. I learned how to record my game audio separate from the stream recording. So I started doing that. I would like route my audio and I would record the game audio separate. So then I could go back and edit the gameplay audio only version and have that available. And then I could talk over that. And that I started doing that with like Fallout New Vegas and then Fallout 3. And then it pretty much, after those videos did pretty well, I kind of just I kind of stopped uploading strictly PBs publicly or highlights publicly, and it was pretty much just edited, produced content stuff like, you know, Speedrun Explain series, which is my main thing these days. But I did a couple of those. I did a couple things reviewing older runs of mine, like my first speed run or my first record, kind of reviewing them and reacting to them. I did a couple of those. And then just very slowly, it turned into just Speedrun Explained. And um, after, or it was like after ESA 2019, it was like fall of 2019, late summer. I was to the point where I was like kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel with Fallout speedrun ideas. And I was like, well, I don't want to just be Fallout. I'd like to start branching out into other games. It seems the best move long term. So I reached out to a good friend of mine in the speedrunning community named Seeker, who I think is like the most talented runner. He holds so many random records. At the time, he held the record in Doom 2016 and Dishonored and Prey 2017. So he and I worked together to make a few of those videos, and those are like the first time I was like scripting a video. Usually I would like record the commentary and I would just write down the script as I recorded, but this was my first time writing a script in advance. And yeah, just since then, just been focusing on Speedrun Explained, and it's become my main thing.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been a few years now, huh?
Yeah, I think I mean, I've been doing YouTube full time now for just under like in a few weeks it'll be 3 years exactly. Um but yeah, Speedrun Explained is pretty much the main thing I've uploaded. The last time I uploaded something that wasn't a Speedrun Explained to my main channel was, I think, yeah, late 2020, fall of 2020. I uploaded a video called How Are Speedrun Glitches Found? And that was just me interviewing a few speedrunners about stories of how they found certain glitches. Um, but yeah, no, it's just been Speedrun Explains. That's been kind of my life for the past few years,
Hmm.
past almost half decade, you know.
And that became a job for you as well.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I was doing it like after work and on the weekends, and it was just big hobby. And you know, I there was a point in early 2021 where I was like, you know, I'm in a position where I can do it full time for at least a little bit, you know. It was enough for me to live full time off of. And I was like, I would, you know, I'd rather do it even if it only lasts like 6 months. I'd rather do it and say I did it than not, you know, always say what if.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's been sustainable ever since. I'm just keeping at it, and I'm always trying to improve. I think that you know, I always want to learn new things, how to do new things with every video, always try and find better ways to present the information, because my goal is to have, you know, speedrunning. I think this is in my YouTube channel description as well. Like speedrunning is, it's really esoteric. It's really hard to understand as an outsider. So I just want to make it more approachable, um, and highlight, you know, highlight these crazy runs, how good these runners are, the crazy stuff that has been discovered, and make it accessible so that people, you know, might want to try it out themselves.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that's how I got into it. It was just like, wow, this is cool. And now I kind of understand what they're doing. Wonder if I
Hmm.
can do it. And then here we are. And that's how I feel a
Exactly.
lot of people have kind of gotten into it in the more modern era. Because I
Hmm.
started like right when content started becoming a thing.
Hmm.
So, and now it's like everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Which, you know, some people like are like, oh, oversaturation or whatever, you know.
Nah,
Um,
it's all
no,
good.
it's
It's all good.
exactly. What's the saying? It's like a rising tide raises all ships, you know.
Hmm.
We all benefit from it being more and more popular.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's content to consume on this subject I like daily almost now. It's like
Exactly.
that's a W for me. I get to enjoy some content.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I do enjoy your format because I like the comedy involved.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah, it's, you know, it's personal flavor.
yes, of course. And yeah, all the information is presented to an understanding degree, at least to me. Although I am
Hmm.
biased to kind of understanding speedrunning already, but
I feel like understanding speedruns, it's one of those things. The more speedruns you learn about, the more easy it is to because there's like tangents or parallels in a lot of the way these games and engines work, or it's not, oh, this is the first time I've heard of buffering the game in a way to have inputs happen at an exact time. Oh, this isn't the first time I've heard about manipulating saves in a way to bring thing from one save into another save. As you learn more about things and understand more about different speedruns, it gets easier as a whole to digest.
Hmm. But also sometimes you see a video on a game you thought you knew, and it's like, oh, I wasn't aware of this one thing because it's maybe not as obvious. And it's like, oh,
Yeah,
there you go. Now you know.
yeah.
That stuff's cool too. But yeah, out of your like YouTube history, you have any like video highlights you recommend, or just like what you enjoyed making,
Ooh,
stuff like that?
yeah. I mean, it's tough to pick ones that I enjoyed making most. I love making them all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a few that I feel like turned out really good though. In terms of most recent ones, I think my Tony Hawk Underground video I did last year was really good. Um, maybe it's just I'm blinded by that game and my nostalgia for it. But I love that video. Um, the one that I go back to most is like being the first one that I'm like really really proud of is my Mirror's Edge video. I think that one was kind of a I think watershed moment is the term. Like, that's kind of like an important moment in my YouTube upload career where like things kind of turned. That's when I started putting more editing into my videos. I kind of established my modern format more with like text appearing on screen and you know more like some visual comedy and whatnot being involved. Um, so I would say the Mirror's Edge one. The Titanfall 2 video is an absolute classic. I mean, really, just go go watch every single one
Mm-hmm.
of my videos. Have them on repeat all the time. No,
I see.
I
I
would say
see.
the Tony Hawk Underground one and the Mirror's Edge one are the two that pop into my head most. But they're all my babies. I love all these videos so much.
Mm-hmm. And I remember like at the start it was a focus on more like, PC, usually FPS style things, but now it can be anything.
Hmm. And that was something that I've actually been very deliberate about. Like going back to when I first started, like the first ones I mentioned were Doom, Dishonored, Prey, and I did those because they're very similar to Bethesda games in audience. They are PC first person games. Prey and Doom are published by Bethesda. I don't think Dishonored was at the time. Arcane, I think Arcane is owned by Microsoft now or published by Bethesda. I can't remember, but like I did those. I did Oblivion. I did Outer Worlds, and I was just trying to cater to the PC audience and with hopes one day I would love to have my channel be a channel where I could cover any game and it does like well where I don't have to worry about finances and whatnot. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Like I've tried covering Zelda twice over the years and they've never done too hot. I've only covered Mario once and it did okay. It did okay. Not as great as the other videos that I put out. Like Baldur's Gate 3 didn't do too hot. Outer Wilds didn't do too hot. Those are two newer videos. Um, those are like kind of different. Hollow Knight didn't do it fantastic on release. It's done pretty okay since. And like, I don't care necessarily about the performance. I care about how good the video does. But it is something I have to be cognizant of with it being my full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's been something that I've been very very deliberate about, like slowly trying to push the boundary of what video games are expected on my channel. Like there's a lot of overlap, but it's like it's slightly different, that like slightly it's another step down the path of being able to cover more diverse games.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some random ones in there that are like pretty different. Hitman I covered, and Subnautica. But like those, most of the time, if you see a game that doesn't feel like it fits, it's because it was voted for by my patrons. I do a thing there where they're able to suggest and vote on runs to be covered. So they've chosen a handful of runs over the years that are things I never would have. I never would have picked Subnautica, never. But it's one of my most. It's like top 4 most popular videos of all time for me.
No, well, there you
Um,
go.
So yeah, the
The
patrons, they
patrons know
know what
what
they're
up.
doing.
Yeah,
They know what they want. Yeah. So
they're running the show in more ways than one.
I guess so. Yeah, they're the Illuminati, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, are there any topics or games you want to cover in the future that you know for sure? Like, oh yeah, I'm doing this if I ever can.
I have a few that are I have a spreadsheet
Mm.
of videos I want to make at some point. I'm actually pulling it up right now. I don't want to, I don't want to spoil too much because when you talk about, oh, I want to make this video, then builds up an expectation and people will ask, hey, when's this coming
I
out? When's
see.
this coming out? But like right now I'm just finishing up a video on Half-Life 2. I actually just released it on Patreon on Friday. Today is Sunday. So like that's one I've been wanting to do for a long time. But some games like I have my next like 3 or 4 videos planned out, so I won't spoil those, but there are a few in those that I've always wanted to cover. But some other random ones that I'd like to get to someday is like, BioShock Infinite. I've done the other 2. So that's on my list of one day, but it's really long. Um the Borderlands games would be really fun to cover sometime. Um, One that I would like to do, but I'm just, worried about performance is Hat in Time.
Mm.
I love that game. I think it's a cool speed run, and I think it would make for a great video. But you know, there are other videos that I really want to make that I'm more confident in. Um, the big one I feel like that's like a big series that I feel like would do really well, but it's a big project is the Halo series. Like
Oh
it'd
yeah.
be really cool to do like Halo 2 and 3 and ODST and Reach and do like, I went through and I did all the From Software games over the span of like a year. So it'd be cool to do that with Halo, but they're all over an hour or
Yeah,
right
that'd
around
be
an
a
hour.
large undertaking for sure.
Yeah, so maybe someday, you know.
Yeah, there's plenty of time. So
Yeah,
that's the good thing about it.
exactly.
Out of curiosity, how long does it usually take to make one? I know it varies depending on the length of the run itself, but like,
It's usually on average I'd say 4 to 6 weeks.
mm,
Um I usually am able to get out a video every month or skip an odd month here and there. Usually every like 4 to 6 weeks. That's when I'm like on good pace. I'm covering runs that are, there's kind of a wheelhouse for the types of videos where it's like, oh, this is like a perfect video in terms of the depth of the tech and the pacing. It doesn't require an insane amount of research or editing, or all of that goes into it. Like for the Half-Life 2 video I'm just finishing up on, it's taken me 3 months to make. It's been a really big video. Um, and it's a 40-minute run, but the video itself is like 74 minutes just because it's so deep and fast paced. There's so much that needed to be explained. So this one, it's a bit longer. And then this year as a whole, I've chosen I plan out my videos kind of like 4 to 6 months in advance because, there's a lot of coordination that goes into it with reaching out to the runner, making sure it works with their schedule and they're able to record things. And, it's a long process. So I have things planned out for most of the rest of the year, and I'm kind of going with bigger projects that are going to take longer. It's a year of the big project for me, but usually like 4 to 6 weeks on average.
all right. I mean, that's a good amount of work, I'd say. So,
Yeah, yeah. In total, it's probably like Um, I mean, it's a couple hundred hours per video, it's several
mhm.
hundred hours of work to make each one.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot that goes into any content at that scale,
Mhm.
especially from what I've heard from a lot of people that have done similar things.
Mhm.
Um, uh, what was I gonna ask? I'm really good at losing my train of thought on
Oh,
these.
me too, man. You're all good.
It happens every time. Probably because I'm not exactly have a degree in talking.
I think I gotta go get one of those too.
mm, yeah. But Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of ideas for the future. Oh yeah, do you have to like work on multiple at once sometimes,
Um,
or do you try to stick with
usually
one?
I usually try and stick with one.
Mm-hmm.
The process for making these videos is I reach out to a runner and they have some time to record the run that will be used in the video. And then we'll sit down and do a Discord call where they walk me through the run. And I record the run, I record the call so that I have this like usually 2 to 3 hour long video that I then go through and build the script off of. Um, Lots of back and forth with the runner during it and additional research, but for the most part, I work off of that. And like I said, they're usually 2 to 3 hours, but like some are longer. I just had a call with a runner that lasted close to 6 hours,
Oh
which was
wow.
crazy. That's the longest one I've ever done. But yeah, so I'll like reach out to them, and like usually a month or so into the process, we have our call, and then I'll spend a couple weeks writing, and then they review it, and then once the writing process is all done, then I'll record and edit, and then they'll review it. We like the reviewing process is always like a week or two of back and forth. Like we want to make sure, I never want to put out a video that the runner themselves isn't happy with or feels like doesn't properly convey the game or explain things. Like I guess something I should have mentioned was I started really doing explanation videos and whatnot in part because there's so much misinformation with speedruns out there. People trying to explain your game and getting it wrong. Like I'm sure you've experienced it. People explaining runs you're familiar with and they did zero research.
Oh
Um,
man.
so and I hate seeing that, I hate seeing it. So like I want to make sure that when I'm doing this, that the runner feels like the game and speedrun is well represented and respected and well informed for the audience. So I only move forward in the next step in the process once we're both fully happy with something. I only move to recording and editing once both myself and the runner are fully happy with the script. Um, with the once the I make a draft video, I send it to them and like I make a bunch of revisions to the video at that stage because like some things are missed from the scripting stage or some things I write after the fact to help fill time. So like there's always things that get through or require additional revisions. So because of that and how involved the process is, it's usually hard to have multiple going on at once. But like I've while I've been working on this Half-Life 2 video, I reached out to the runner for the next video that I'm starting working on this week and like in contact with them and talking with them about the run and I did the call with them. But like I don't start writing it and working on it actively until I finish the one before it. It would just be too much. The writing especially is very draining for me, so it'd be a lot for me to
Mhm,
write and then record and edit all in the same day. So usually it's independent and separate.
mhm. And that I think that was a good look into the full process. So it's
Yeah.
interesting how because
Yeah.
everyone does it differently
Yeah.
because they all have their own style of content and what they're discussing. So
Exactly. And like the speedrun explained format, some people do it as well and I
mhm,
want more people to do it. I love cuz my favorite thing about it is you watch the run as it goes along. You know, a lot of, and not that there's anything wrong with this style of content, um, but like a lot of speedrun content is like, edited like essay pieces or explanations. And like, not that my videos are absent of those, they have those sections in those, but I feel like there's not as many people who are making videos that explain the run in real time and you watch the full run in its entirety. And I want to see more of that. I think it's really fascinating because you get to see the application of everything while you're learning about it. So,
mhm. Sorry, there's some wild noise I hear right now.
oh, you're all good.
I hope the mic isn't picking that up. I don't know what that was. Oof.
it's I heard it just very very briefly in the
What
background.
was
It sounded like a
that?
dog was howling or something.
It's it's not a dog. I'm just gonna hope whatever that is fine. Anyway, gosh, but God, that was loud. Yeah, I don't know how sensitive the mic is, so yeah, just hopefully it wasn't too bad. But anyway,
No.
so we talked about like future content plans, but are there future like speedrun plans or streaming plans or anything like that?
Um, I have a few ideas for speedruns that I want to do, like in addition to Wii Sports. I do want to revisit Fallout at some point,
Hmm.
but there's specifically a Fallout meme run that I want to return to first before I get like, too into, grinding Fallout 4 or going back to Anthology, which I'm not sure if that'll ever happen, me getting back into Fallout 4, but I would like to. So, I have a few random speedruns I'd like to do on stream, but for the most part, I'm really happy with Wii Sports right now. I'm far from my goal time. I'm far from feeling accomplished in it, so I want to keep doing that. Um, in terms of contents, I'm constantly trying to improve my Speedrun Explain series. I would like to make other content as well, but it's hard just because of the time requirement that goes into the Speedrun Explain videos. Um, I have one video that is speedrun related. It's kind of like um I've been kicking around the idea of it for years. Years at this point. Like I tried scripting it like 4 years ago or so. Didn't really come to fruition. Kind of like an edutainment style video about speedrunning in general, just breaking down the basics of it. So no, in general, just I want to keep focusing on speedrun explain, keep making these videos, trying to improve them each time, and that's my main focus. I love what I do. I love being a part of this community. I love learning so much about all these other individual communities in our community and talking to different people around the world about things they're passionate about. So I'm really loving what I do, and I want to keep doing it as long as I can.
Sounds based to me. So, I think a good question to ask would be, have any like advice to either speedrunners or people that are interested in making content around the subject?
Yeah, I mean the thing that's most important is um you want to do something that you enjoy. Make content that you enjoy. You want to, I you don't if your goal is to go full time on YouTube and do that, like don't put all your eggs in that basket, Keep it as a hobby until it's something that you can pivot into that. Don't like quit your job to try and do YouTube full time. Like if you don't have the infrastructure in place, an established audience, um, keep up. Make like I was saying originally, like make stuff you enjoy to make. The last thing you want to do is like make a video. You're like, oh, this feels like it'll do well, but I hate making it. I hate making this, and then the worst thing that could happen is it pops off and you feel trapped having to make this one thing that you hate making. And then it's, you lose your passion for it. You should keep up with, do what you are passionate about, make what you're passionate about. Um, and, be unique, be true to yourself. Don't do things just because you see other people doing them. If something seems cool to you or seems intuitive to you, or you're like, why don't other people do this in their videos? They should do this, rather than try and put yourself in the box of what other people do. Just make whatever you want to make. Be true to yourself and make what you enjoy making. That's most important. That's, in my opinion, more fulfilling than being able to do it full time. Like if tomorrow I found out all of my YouTube channels were demonetized and I had zero way of monetizing YouTube ever again, I would, I would update my resume right away, go try and find another job. But like I would still do YouTube as a hobby because I love making these videos. Like I truly, truly love making speedrun explains, being involved in speedruns. So um yeah, just that's the big thing, is I would say make, try and focus on what you want to make stuff that's unique and individual to yourself. And if I feel like I got super lucky where I'm at in terms of the platform I have and being able to do it full time. If you get lucky, you get lucky. But like you can't do it with the outset or goal of wanting to make money from it or have it be your full time thing. You just got to do it if you love it.
Hmm. Yeah, passion above all, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah, something I've also noticed in your content, you say it, every video is something about there always being tomorrow. I was just curious what that kind of, what was the motivation behind that? What to say
Yeah.
that every time?
Yeah, it really started I mean the stuff that I say in those sections are, they are platitudes and things that I've said to myself over the years, especially in like college. Um and it's one of those things where it really started like when COVID was really starting. I like just included in one of my videos kind of a check-in, like, hey, I hope you guys are doing well. And then, it kind of snowballed from there with me including, talking a little bit about it in a slow part of the run. I think the first one really was in a SpongeBob video I did, Battle for Bikini Bottom. And there was like a down period in that. So I just talked about it a little bit, like, hey, the world's freaking crazy right now. Like, I hope you're safe. I hope you're, if you're having a hard time, like this is something that I've said to myself to help me get through really hard times at times. And there was a time in my life where, like, I wish someone had said that to me, and hearing it externally would have helped me a lot, help reinforce those ideas. So it's one of those things where it's just like, I have a platform. It cost me nothing. It cost me nothing to include talks about mental health in my videos. But I know that it helps a lot of people. So if it's something that I can include just in a slow part of my video, which I make a point in all of my videos to include it now. If it's something I can just, like I said, it costs me nothing to include, and if it helps people, then good. If people hate it, okay, you just press the right arrow key or press L a few times and you're past it. It doesn't cost you anything and it helps a lot. It's just I want to try and use my platform for good, and I think that talking about mental health and stuff like that isn't, there's clearly a space for it for us to talk about it, and not enough people utilize it, but I think it's important to do. So
Mhm.
I like to just try and include that in every video.
Yeah, I've definitely became more and more advocate of mental health, uh, because we all go on that journey eventually to try to understand things better, and I've always just thought it was cool that you did that.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that.
So I'm sure people do care about hearing it. So I'm glad you stick with that and say it every time because
Yeah.
some people definitely need to hear that sometimes. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, next I'll just ask, what do you like to consume? Like we talked about what you like to do yourself, but what do you like to just consume in terms of like speed runs, Twitch, YouTube, anything like that?
So if I'm being honest, I actually really don't watch speedruns that much.
Mm,
For as into speedruns and as, like, well informed about them as I am, I don't I don't really use Twitch a lot. I If I pull up Twitch to watch speedruns, it will be either Super Mario 64 or a Zelda game. I used to watch, like, I forgot to mention earlier, like, I watched Siglemic a lot do SM64. I also watched Narcissa do a lot of Wind Waker back in the day. So, like, those are my two big speedruns. I've never even played Wind Waker, but I love the speedrun of it. So I like watching those speedruns. I don't really search out speedrun content on YouTube or anything. Um, I mostly just consume, like, if I consume on Twitch, it's gonna be SM64 or Zelda runs. And if I watch on YouTube, it's probably just because I'm watching a friend who puts out speedrun content. I'll watch their stuff to support, but I really don't. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't like watching speedruns that much myself. I love watching GDQ, but I'm hard pressed to pull up a random speedrun stream and just watch it. I love movies. I mean, we talked a little bit about movies in advance at the top of this, and I know you said you're not too into movies, but I love movies. And of course, video games. I play a lot of video games. Those are the two big ones. Like, I'll go out of my way to go see a movie if I hear it's good, or check out a movie I've never heard of. If people say it's good, I just, I love consuming it. I feel like my videos are most informed from my experiences watching movies and that type of stuff, rather than, even though it has nothing to do with it, it's not like there's a pause section in a movie where someone explains something. Most movies like The Big Short has that kind of, but like it's but it's still like, I feel like I get a sense for pacing and timing and writing from movies, and that helps me a lot. um Video games, like I said, like I just played through so much Final Fantasy Rebirth. Oh my lord. I just finally finished it on Friday. So I play a lot of video games, and yeah, video games, movies, TV shows, um, and music, of course. But yeah, not much speed runs.
Just the irony of it, I guess.
Right, right. It's interesting. And like similarly, there's lots of YouTubers who are like Fallout and Skyrim, Bethesda challenge run people. Like one of my best friends on the entire planet, Jabo, I mentioned him earlier. He and I started speedrunning like at the same time, and he's now built a platform for himself doing challenge runs in mostly Fallout, Bethesda games, but he's branched out a lot. But like couldn't I rarely watch his videos because I just don't watch that stuff, even though there's so much overlap. A big one is Mitten Squad, who passed away recently, or like Senza, like they're big challenge YouTubers, and people are like, oh, you must watch his stuff all the time because it's so much overlap with yours. Like I never watch it. I never do. It started off partly because I didn't want to I didn't want to subconsciously steal stuff from their videos. To me, like it was a better to have come arrived to the same joke or something independently and like steal it independently. It's not really stealing in that way,
Yeah.
but then to watch something and like subconsciously be informed and make a decision based on that. Like I like having my own thing, and making my own decisions based on my own senses that I've developed from all the random stuff I watch.
Yep. All makes sense. Yeah. It seems like we consume the exact opposite media because that's all I watch, and I don't watch TV, movies, or anything anymore.
That's hilarious. What are some of your favorite speedruns to watch?
Oh God, I'll watch anything. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm so involved in the community and know so many people. I mean, I try to like cycle through. Sometimes I'll have a. So my friend Sumwes, he used to have the Mario 1 record. He made this excellent website, and it's mainly to keep track of like, it's good for like retiming Mario 1 speedrunning, and it has a great
Mm-hmm.
like frame counting tool for other speedruns if you need to get an exact frame count. But there's also a multi-twitch kind of feature. So sometimes I'll just put on like 9 streams of all these people and just be like,
Oh,
all
that's
right, here we
awesome.
go.
Have you, and maybe this is the site, have you heard of the website
Oh, I
therun.gg?
use it. All of my live splits are intertwined. I've got it all going. Yeah, of course.
Gotcha. I like that website. I'll occasionally pull that up and see if anyone's on crazy pace.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to that site. Therun.gg is a really cool site.
Oh, now they
So
got
I'll
races. Their tournaments are all being backlogged now.
that's awesome.
It's oh my god, that's like
That's so cool.
one of the best things to exist for us
That's
nowadays.
that's so awesome.
And yeah, I got all of my splits are linked up with it. So, and it's great for like looking at data. Like, oh, I'm not doing well at this split, so I can work on that. Here are my
Mhm.
golds and compare it to other people. Oh my god, there's so much going on with that site.
Yeah. It's really, really cool. I really like it.
Yeah. So shout out to the run. Very, very good.
Yeah, the run's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, is there anything we didn't go over that you'd like to talk about?
Not that I can think of. I mean, anything you like to ask all your good, whether or not I believe in ghosts, I don't know. Do you have any random questions you like to ask your guests?
I mean, not really. I try to keep it onto the topic at hand, and
Very
the
nice. I like it. Your
tangents come as they
business.
go. But
Strictly business.
well, I mean, again, tangents are natural, but yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like I've asked everything that's important, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Whoa. Whether or not I believe in ghosts isn't important. Is
if
that what
it's
I'm
important
hearing?
to you, that's great. But
Okay. Well, it's not important. I don't believe in ghosts, so
okay, well, there
it's not
we go
important.
then. I asked and answered. But yeah, if Chad has any questions, you can feel free to ask, of course. But yeah, I mean, if you're satisfied with what we've discussed, if I haven't missed anything, then I'm satisfied. So we can wrap things up if you would like.
Yeah, yeah. I don't feel like there's anything else I'd like to touch on. Speedrunning is really freaking cool. I love speedrunning. I love speedrunners. I love the passion they have. It's just a great hobby. It's a great community. It's so welcoming. It's so inclusive. It's so supportive. Just awesome. Speedrunning's awesome.
Indeed. That's the sentiment I have for sure. So,
Yeah.
and hopefully most people do because damn it, it's cool.
Yeah. Damn it. It is cool.
It is cool. But yeah, you can feel free to use this time to just self promote.
Um, tomatoanus will bring you to my YouTube page.
Hmm.
Just you search Tomato Anus, you'll find me. Tomato Anus on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Um, Tomato Angus on some other websites.
Like GDQ.
Um, when I'm on GDQ, I'm Tomato Angus.
Silent
I
G.
have the silent. Yeah, the G is
Silent
silent.
G.
I'm starting, like, I have a second channel that I'm starting to upload random things on, but I'm mostly focused on the Speedrun Explained series. The second channel is Tomato Angus, the silent
Silent
G.
G. Yep.
Um, I'm starting up a VOD channel for my streams, Angus on Demand. These are all linked on my main page. But yeah, no, that's about all. I'm just Tomato Anus. There's the one and only.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
And
easy to find.
all those links are on stream and in the YouTube description. So I
Wow.
know
Thank you. Thank you.
they're always there. I don't forget. So
Diligent.
yes, I care about the links, the
Yeah,
promotion.
it's important. It's important. And I want to say before we stop, thank you for asking me to be on this. It was an honor. Um I think I told you when you like reached out, like, I'm familiar with you and the series, so it was very cool to be asked to be on it. Thank you for your time and letting me be on here to talk to you about speedrunning.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for being on. I'm glad my show seems to be getting some reach, at least a
Yeah.
little bit, because this is part of my passion of things is hearing people's speedrun stories. So
Yeah. I love it. Keep doing it. I love hearing other speedrunners talk about their passions.
well, there's a love. This is episode 61, so there's plenty of content to go around
Perfect.
so far. So
Perfect. And see, now you can plug all of your content that you've already put out with this all. Look at this. We're plugging each other.
well, yeah, okay. Don't
I should word that differently.
yeah, we're plugging each other's content.
Yes, not holes.
Anyway, what a way to end things.
Oh man.
Well, yeah, I mean, it looks like we're all good, so I'll go ahead and
Awesome.
close things out here. But yeah, thanks again for being on. Thanks everyone for watching. Yeah, keep watching the show, streamed live on Twitch. YouTube VODs are always up on Sunday, and yeah, take care, I guess. Have a good one and see ya.